Now, the TSC so far has said that more than 200,000 teachers will be trained by the end of this year, December 2019. Then I'll be joined to discuss that by Dr. Rebecca Nganga. She is senior lecturer at Daystar University here in Nairobi. Mwalimu, so I will call you Mwalimu.
Yes,
because I was also handled by teachers. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for coming. I do appreciate your time. Well, it's important that we're having this discussion, and it's equally significant that you are a teacher who has the experience, who has been, of course, sculpting students to be better members of the society, but we seem to be having hurdles on the way of the competency-based curriculum in the country. What way do you think is the way forward, in the sense that to resolve the standoff between the ministry and the union, which is the Kenya National Union of Teachers?
Okay. In terms of the issue of education and the curriculum, I think what the ministry is doing is good. Right. Change is good. We live in a dynamic world, so we need to keep examining whether what we are teaching is what is happening. I think Kenya National Union of Teachers needs also to come on board, like Professor Magoha tells them, to come on board so that we can discuss together that there is need for reflecting on education so that it meets the needs of the people. Yes.
One of the key issues of the competence-based curriculum is about the instilling of skills into students and learners, perhaps going forward. And ever since the launch of the 844 system in the early 90s, in the early 80s, there has been a challenge with regards to the failing of addressing the problems that we are handling in contemporary Kenya, and becoming too focused on the white-collar jobs and, of course, education. There is now a gap with regards to skills now that's needed by the job market, and the ministry says this will address that problem, but the union is still hesitant. So what way do we need to resolve our standoff regarding the way forward when it comes to the empowerment of our people?
Now, when it comes to instilling of skills, like you've put it, that's where I agree about the review. Who is instilling the skills? What are the skills? What is it that we want at the end of the day? You know, curriculum is about the whole setup of what it is, and who is it that is wanting. So we need to have a moment of coming together to critically reflect on what it is. Who are we? Where are we? What are some of these hurdles? I feel like we are talking about issues that basically, this is what we heard, this is what we are going to do, but we are not even asking, why did we have it? Did it achieve what it was intended to achieve? In my opinion, every human being should be facilitated to bring out their best.
All right.
And that best should be able to identify the issues that face them, and be able to come up with what it is that deals with that or addresses the issue. It is not just a question of coming into a system without one asking, how did it come into being? What are the issues? How do we solve them? So it is this curriculum-based. I think there are very many words that I think need to be decoded to hear what it is. This competence, this, there are many words, so that if that's where the Union of Teachers would be talking, then I would hear them. But I think what we need is to come together, as Magoha said, and ask, what is it that we are saying? Not even what we want. What are we saying? What are you hearing? Yeah, and what is it that we want? Are we facilitating every learner, every person to bring out their best?
Okay. And that given, again, you have mentioned the fact that there's need for self-assessment, and we have assessed ourselves when it comes to the 844 system. And in 2012, Professor Douglas Odhiambo came up with a report in which then was equally rejected by then Minister, that is Mutula Kilonzo Senior. And going forward, we are having that debate 7 years later. But critically also is the fact that NAT also commissioned a report saying that the ground is not ready and ripe enough for the rollout of the competency-based curriculum. Is the involvement of these key stakeholders, or the absence or the lack of involving stakeholders, perhaps the point that we are seeing is becoming more of injury to the rollout of this competency-based curriculum? And how well does the government need to bring all the stakeholders on board and convey that message that it's for the betterment of the prosperity of our people?
It is true. The reports have been there. There are several, actually. Every other every 5 years or so, somebody comes up to review, to write. I think the information we have. But I think one thing that I feel, like I remember one time when I had to go through all those reviews, because I am convinced that education is critical to the welfare of a nation or a continent and the world. People need to know, but of course you need to define what you mean by education. So the reviews are not the issue. It is what are we reviewing. For example, I believe, and I believe this is what is causing the hurdles that we are meeting, that the teacher has not gotten on board to understand what it is. They were trained to teach some given way, some given facts, or some given things. So now the thing is changing, but the teacher is the driver. You see, if the driver doesn't understand the map, even if you say we are now going to, say you wanted to go to Mombasa and you decide you want to go to Namanga, he has not understood where Namanga is, you can keep talking. He will take you where he knows. Yeah, so to me, I think the review should be, I mean, where you sit with the teacher to enable the teacher, the parent, and the people concerned to see what are we talking about. Yeah, what is the outcome that we are looking for. Yeah, so these reviews in my mind miss on that, and we also don't give ourselves enough time to get to understand it. Yeah, so that's
the other point also, the problem perhaps, or the challenge that is outlined by the union and others who are critical, who are fiercely critical of the competency base of the CBC is, or what they say is the lack of infrastructure to support this. And they say that there is no proper electricity connectivity across the country. The schools have not been digitized. One of the government's main pledge in 2017, the laptop project, has failed. And therefore, are they not raising legitimate issues when it comes to that can be, and the loopholes that can be addressed equally with regard to the going forward of the competence-based curriculum in the country?
I don't think we need electricity to learn, neither do we need classrooms. I think we can learn from anywhere. I think it is, you know, if you know what it is you want to achieve, you can do it from anywhere. And anyway, if people are doing studies, why can't they get a way of getting the solar or some way of getting the electricity as a part of the learning?
That is commitment, isn't it?
This issue of waiting to be given, waiting for people to come to dig latrines for you, waiting to come to build mud classrooms where there is soil and rain comes. I think there's something there. I think that's what needs to be addressed. Yeah, that issue of somebody is coming to give us, therefore somebody is coming to take us rather than ourselves. I think the education curriculum should be where we see what is it that we have, and then from it develop what we want. You can study at that tree, and it's okay. Who said people must be closed in rooms in order to learn?
Oh, okay. So, but in terms of the opportunities, and because infrastructure is equally important, and what the government wants to roll out is what perhaps is an important element going forward for the country. But you can't compare a school in Nairobi County, which is a primary school, and a school, say, in Mandera or Turkana counties, because there is a clear disparity when it comes to the learner-teacher ratio and also the books that are shared. Not that's a clear case that doesn't usually happen in Nairobi County, and that has been the point with which they are saying that this is going to benefit the rich and not the poor, who form a bulk or the lion's share of the learning population in the country.
You know how it will benefit the rich? Because the rich sets the exam. Otherwise, if the exam is set by the person from Mandera, it will benefit the Mandera person. You get it? Yeah, that there is no disadvantage in learning in your environment. Yeah, that there is a Nairobi environment, there is Mandera environment. So learn from your environment and also be exposed. Don't just remain there. So that we need to learn, how does the Mandera child understand the mountainous regions where it is forever green? How does the mountain region person understand? So it's not a question of disparities of Nairobi. Nairobi children are the most disadvantaged, yeah, because they don't know how to deal without some of the resources which they need to learn. That is not, life doesn't have all the things all the time. Yeah, so to me, it depends on the exam setter and the setter of the curriculum. And who, I mean, from where do they stand? So if you are in an office in Nairobi, for sure you might think the world is Nairobi. And I think you just need to walk out and see Turkana, see Kilifi, see Kisumu, and see the world, or rather our world, and therefore set up what is appropriate for our children, not children of a given region.
All right. Now, the Teacher Service Commission, which is says that more than 225,000 teachers will be trained by December 2019. But what has been happening is in the training, which is the first batch, we have seen teachers who have expressed concerns about the rollout of the competence-based curriculum in the country with regards to training that were conducted by the government. And it equally points to a picture, or perhaps depicts a picture, about an unprepared part of the teaching force in the country. That again proves to be a challenge, isn't it, when you don't have all your workforce on board to roll out an important element that you think is going to be remedying the problems that have always punctuated our economy.
Personally, I use critical reflective teaching. To me, it's continuous learning. It's not that you learn, okay, you need introduction, you need exposure, you need to know what it is. Yeah, but from there on, you keep discovering, exploring, and teachers are good at that. So that it is true that teachers need precision. As I said, if the teachers are not on board, you can keep talking. Yeah, because they are the ones on the ground. And the way they see it is the way it will be done. Because you can't give what you don't have. Right. So the teachers, for sure, need exposure, need training. But it shouldn't be made such a ritual or ceremony that it's something to, I mean, you can train as you go. And keep training, have continuous way of learning. And this learning should be such that even in the learning institution, teachers come together and share ideas. Those who have learned are helping those who have not learned. And they are seeing and they are sharing the difficulties. Yeah, so to me, there is a way this can be rolled and it becomes something enjoyable, competence, say, that is continuing to examine what you are learning and why you are learning, who is being left behind. Yeah, the only thing I think I would want to add here is any curriculum that, sort some people, remove some learners from learning, yes. Saying that they have some talents. You know, that word talent, I really fear it in our country. I feel like
it's not become a cliche.
Yeah, it will inconvenience people and put away good material and have extremely limited people, because I think the more exposure, the better. Yeah, so to me, it is not sorting out saying these are learners, these are for singing, I don't know. No, let people learn as much as possible. People know chemistry, physics, biology, no geography, no history, no literature. Let people have exposure to as much as possible. It is not in primary or secondary school or even first degree where you start specializing.
All right. Yeah. Now, pointing out that, and that is the Minister, Ambassador Amina Mohamed, who was leading the docket before Professor George Magoha came on board, admitted before the Parliamentary Committee that the country is not ripe and ready to roll out the competence-based curriculum in the country. Her counterpart now has taken over from her, says that we are ready and anyone on my way will be bulldozed. NAT says in a report commissioned by finding by the Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development, KICD, that the implementation of the new curriculum will be a total flop and no major reforms will be realized if the professionals are not involved and professional steps of reviewing the curriculum continue to be ignored by the ministry. It proves to be a legitimate challenge, isn't it, that we need to address?
Yeah, I think both what Ambassador Amina said, it was true. We are not ready. But also what Professor Magoha says is true. Why do I say that? We can't sit forever waiting. We will never be ready. Somehow, somewhere, we need to start some steps. And it will not be a flop. I think those, to me, are the people that want to just be there. Keep learning and unlearning and learning, you know, trying more. It shouldn't be a kind of one-time thing. You start, and then somebody is sitting there cheering you or jeering you. Let's keep learning so that it is not... remember, children are going on. Remember, we are talking about lives.
All right.
Remember, we are talking about history that sometimes you don't quite repeat. I know we say history repeats itself, but there's a way that what you've gone through, we are not rehearsing. Yeah, so a child that has gone through the system, by the time you are starting, where are they? So to me, once the thing was named, let's keep going. Let's keep improving rather than stalling it. Yes.
Now, given that, and we have talked about the CBC, and let's now come down to another important element, which is about general education in the country. And before we come to the university aspect, where the professor is seeking the merger of some university to come under the administration of the others, of what he says is a mushrooming case of universities or varsity education and the lack of a quality education that seems to be dwindling. However, since 2002, when the NAC government of Mwai Kibaki introduced the new primary education, free primary education, there has been an exponential increase in the number of school enrollment across the country. That seems again to be the point with which many Kenyans are today quenching their education thirst in the country. How will the 100% transition from the primary to the secondary school again burden the education docket with regards to the number that is going to be causing traffic as we expect?
Yeah, I think the key issue here is Kenyans, most of our Kenyan definition of success has become so narrow. It is simply getting a certificate, not even education, not even information, but a certificate. So that this mushrooming of universities and everything and degrees that you are not so clear that somebody has even understood what the content was.
Vis-a-vis what he has on
yeah,
paper.
it is so the certificate becomes that if you have it, you are successful. I think that's what we need to revise. We need, and that's what I'm saying, that a competence-based curriculum should enable us define what it is we are looking for. Therefore, not everyone needs to run to university. I agree with the issue of shutting some of those places, because I don't think the expected learning is taking place. And I think we need to come as a community to question, why must you get a certificate? Why must you get a degree? Yeah, why shouldn't it be the knowledge, the ability to respond to the challenges that face our world, like many people have done? You know, ability to interpret what is happening, the signals around you. So to me, it shouldn't this be the education ministry and meeting the needs in terms of moving from primary to secondary. One, let me tell you, I mean, my prayer, like now with the issue of bullying in schools, I don't think we need boarding schools. I don't think we need boarding schools. We need to improve the schools next door, so that everyone walks to school and eats from their mother's house. Because this issue of sleeping is where the bullying is coming in. So to me, and even when we had those schools like here, places like Nenana, they had, the learning place was separate from the sleeping place. There was somebody, an adult, with the teenagers. So what we need is improvement of the schools next door, so that children from primary move to a good school next door where they walk to school and come back.